Hi everyone, my name is Nia Bates for those of you who don't know me, or according to my YouTube channel, Nia B, or if we went to elementary school together, maybe you remember me as Nia Diarrhea. Thank you, kind boy who gave me that nickname. That was so sweet of you. Fun times. But I wanted to come on here and I wanted to share with you the journey that I've been on with my ankle and my leg over the past 25 years, and maybe you found my YouTube channel and you came onto this video because you saw a little blurb video that my dear friends Stephen and Nicole Hay put together for me, and you came on and maybe you wanted to hear the unabridged version, which I wanted to share, and maybe nobody wants to hear it. Maybe the only ones that will want to hear it are my mom and dad and my husband, and my kids maybe one day. But if for anything, it's for them. It's a way to just share the journey that I've been on and the amazing things that have come through this experience, all the blessings, and where I've been and where I am now, and excited to share where we're headed. So where I'm actually sitting in our little cozy cottage here in Williamsville, New York, where we live. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Go Steelers, go Steelers. And Bills are number 2 though, everyone, here in Buffalo. So that's our number 2 team. But I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And the beginning of my story starts the summer before my 2nd grade year. So I was 8 years old, and I happened to be at a back to school pool party, and I was just a normal active kid. I was swimming in the pool, and all of a sudden I got kicked in the leg under the water completely by accident. And I remember just screaming in pain and screaming in pain. It would not go away. It would not go away. And I remember then the lifeguard got me out and they sat me on like a picnic table, and they're trying to look at my leg and figure out. My sister, who was babysitting at the time, who was like 13 and kind of like freaking out. Oh no, I'm babysitting and now my little sister, I think she might be being over dramatic. I'm gonna get in trouble. And I remember she was talking with the lifeguard, and they were sort of confused of why it was hurting this badly. Why would just a simple kick in the leg be hurting this much? So when my parents picked us up from the pool party, they decided to stop by a good family friend of ours. His name's Jerry McFarland, and he happened to be the athletic trainer for the school that we went to. My dad was a football coach there, and they said, why don't we stop by and see Mr. Mack and get his opinion on this? So on our way home, we stopped by, and I remember sitting in the living room, and he was taking a look at my leg and kind of pressing where it really hurt. And I remember him telling my parents, something doesn't feel right in here, and I really think you need to take her in and get an x-ray of her leg. So we ended up making an appointment, and on the first day of 2nd grade, and I was a total nerd, I loved school. Like, I think I probably had my backpack packed a month before school was actually starting. So I was so ready for school. I was not missing the first day of school. And I had an amazing first day, and then afterwards we went to Swickley Hospital, where I had an x-ray done, and they found that I had a tumor inside my fibula bone. And I didn't really know what this meant. I know that I got to use crutches, which was really cool at the time as an 8-year-old. So I'm walking out and I have my crutches, and I get into the car with my mom. It was just my mom and I. And as soon as we got in the car, my mom just started crying, and she broke down and she lost it. And now as a parent, I can totally appreciate that moment of what it must have felt like to hear this about your child and wanting to protect them, and something that's totally out of your control. And thankfully, I was raised in a Christian home, and my parents, since the day I was born, would tell me how much I was loved, and that a loving God had made me, and I was a unique creation, and I had worth and value and purpose, and I was not alone, and all of these amazing things that they helped to instill in me. So at the age of 8, having that strong faith, I remember looking at my mom and seeing her cry and being so sure of God's love for me and the plan that he had for my life. And I remember saying, Mom, why are you crying? God has a plan for my life, and he's going to take care of me. And at the time, looking back, you know, it's kind of funny because it just seems so black and white, and there wasn't a hesitation in that, and there wasn't the fear and the worry of all these things that now as an adult I'm sure I would be thinking about. But it was so simple, and I said, why are you crying? There's no need to worry. God has a plan for my life. And through the course of my journey, I have seen that over and over and over again. And that's what I'm excited to share with you about, is that something that I was diagnosed with, something that's out of my control, that we could have allowed that to really hold us back from things that we wanted to do, and the joy for living and for life. And I am so thankful for my parents and for the church that I grew up in that helped to encourage me and to support me and show me that what's something that could seem to be impossible, that with God all things are possible. And so I went home that day, and we ended up, they connected with us with an orthopedic surgeon, an amazing doctor, Dr. Kenneth Yaw, who was out of the UPMC in Pittsburgh. And I met with him, and the first initial surgery was great. All they did is they went in, they took out the tumor, and it was supposed to be just a speedy recovery and back on my way. But unfortunately, 6 weeks later, we went in for a checkup, and they found that not only did the tumor return, but it was actually twice the size this time. And so they went over a lot of the different options that I had. We could go and take the tumor out again, but because of how fast it was growing, the rate that the tumor was growing, it was a good chance that it not only would come back, but then it would spread throughout the rest of my body. So they said in order for it to stop spreading, we need to take out 3/4 of her fibula bone. Which again is a little bit scary when you're thinking, okay, the risks of doing that and taking out bone, but we wanted just to stop the spread of those tumors. So we said, okay, this is what we need to do. We're in good hands. And we went in for surgery number 2, and this was the early fall of 1993 when I was 8 in 2nd grade. So they went in, they did the surgery. I remember being in the recovery room and the doctor coming in and saying the surgery went well. It was successful in removing the tumor and the bone. Unfortunately, because of the type of surgery and what we were doing in your leg, we actually hit the perineal nerve. And because of hitting that nerve and having damage to that nerve, you're no longer able to lift your foot, and you won't be able to walk ever again. And it looks like you'll probably need to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. Now, being 8 years old and hearing that, I try to go back and put myself in my shoes at the time of hearing this news. And again, I just remember seeing the doctor's solemn face and how sad he felt to tell me that news. But I remember looking him square in the eyes and just smiling. And I said, okay, well, thank you. I know that God has a plan for my life, and I'm going to walk again one day. So I look forward to when that day comes. And I'm going to play basketball. And I had all these great plans and ideas that I knew was going to happen. And I'm sure he shrugged it off like, okay, that's a nice goal and nice something to hope for. But I knew it was going to come true one day. And it wasn't a matter of if, but when. So we went back to school, and I was like a superstar in school. Are you kidding me? Showing up with this cool set of wheels, and I was the kid with the wheelchair. And when I returned, they had these huge banners, and all the teachers came out, and a parade. And I'm sure there was many other kids thinking, man, I want to be in a wheelchair and get all this attention. And the cool thing about being in a wheelchair is that you had to leave a couple minutes early whenever we had to go to specials like library and phys ed. So each day, a different helper in my classroom would get to take me down in my wheelchair, and which was a lot of fun. And also my amazing angel of a teacher, Mrs. Marcacci, she every day made it a point to, on our break, take us outside. There's a little cement path in the back of our classroom outside of the school. And we would have races, and she would push me in my wheelchair, and all the other kids had to hop on one foot. And we always won. It was so cool. And she would spend time with me every recess. I would stay inside and longing to go back outside for recess. And she would hang out with me and we would have so many great chats. And she is part of the reason why I wanted to become a teacher. Her and my physical education teacher, Mrs. Kasanovich, who supported me and made me realize that I could do anything and nothing was out of reach. And if I could dream it, I could do it. And they just helped instill that confidence and that drive and that passion to help others. And I thought, man, if I could just help one other person the way that they have helped me, then that would be the best job in the world. And so I really credit them and my dad, who's also a teacher, for the reasons why even at 8 years old I knew I was going to be a phys ed teacher one day. That was my job. I already had my path planned out. So I went back to school and I was in a wheelchair, supposed to be in a wheelchair again for the rest of my life and for almost throughout the whole second grade year. And a quick little fun story. The first day I was allowed to go back outside for recess, it was a big day. I've waited for this moment for months. And I'm wheeling out and it was like straight out of a movie. The doors open. And here I go in my wheelchair out. And the one boy was waiting for me, the boy who gave me the nickname Nia Diarrhea. I think he was mad because I always played tackle football on the asphalt with the boys and he never got to be picked as quarterback and I was. I'm really sorry about that. And he was just really upset about that. So he was waiting for me to come out and he didn't care if I was in a wheelchair and couldn't walk. He had a dodgeball in his hands, one of those old school dodgeballs that we used to use that you throw it and it would break your skin if it hit you. But he was waiting around the corner and here I come and I roll up and the sun's hitting my face and I was on cloud 9 and he winds up and throws the dodgeball so hard about 5 feet away from me. It hits me. It was a really good hit. And it knocks me over in my wheelchair. It's like, whoa, and I fall onto the ground. And now my wheelchair is pinning me on top. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what the heck's that? And everybody rushes over. Oh my goodness, oh no, the girl in the wheelchair, she's on the ground. And you know what, that boy, he came over and just yelled, "You're out!" That was it. He wanted to get me out. And I remember going home that day and telling my parents the story and being quite distraught about my first day back out at recess, how excited I was, and then the boy was waiting for me and he threw it and I'm like crying, I'm telling him the story. And the best part was my dad asked me, I'll do his, as he actually sounds like this, well, did you catch the ball? And I said, no, I didn't catch the ball. I didn't even see him. He blindsided me and he knocked over. So no, I didn't catch the ball. And he said, well, you're out. And you know, it's so true. I was out. I didn't catch the ball. And this was just kind of a life lesson and something that my parents also gave to me was to have a good sense of humor and to be the first person that laughs at yourself because someone else is going to laugh at yourself. So be the first person to laugh at yourself and always find a reason to laugh and the humor in things. And so I love telling that story because sometimes when I tell it people, they're like, that is the most depressing thing I've ever heard. And I'm pretty sure I would have never gone back to school if that happened to me. And I think it just makes for a really fun and great story now. But I was in the wheelchair. I was going to, back on track here, I'm back in the story. I was going to physical therapy every day and nothing changing until one day a miracle happened. By the grace of God, part of my nerve actually came back in my foot, something that the doctors couldn't explain, the PT guy's over here scratching his head and couldn't explain. I knew that this was gonna happen. So again, I was probably just smiling, ready to walk now, I'm ready to get going. And they taught me how to walk again and they taught me how to run. And I remember just those baby steps and that early on. And I had a goal in my mind that I was gonna make it to Drill for Skill basketball camp that summer. And that was my goal. I ended up making it to Drill for Skill basketball camp. Not only did I go there and love it, but that's where I realized that I had a gift for playing basketball. I was also 5'10" in 4th grade, which that really helps, and you kind of feel like you're destined for basketball, or to just like help people change their light bulbs your whole life when you're so tall. If any of you have not seen my 4th grade school picture, that will tell you how much I loved basketball, because instead of wearing a dress, I had a basketball turtleneck embroidered with a basketball, tucked into some red sweatpants. I had a red gold basketball chain around my neck. I had a Jonathan Taylor Thomas bowl cut that I thought was a really good idea when you have thick Italian hair. It was not a good idea. And I also had some Jordans on my feet, and I was holding a basketball. In case anyone had any doubts if I loved basketball, I was holding that basketball. And it was the greatest picture. I still love that picture. So I loved basketball. I played it every second, 24/7. I played it throughout high school for Moon Township, if you're from the Berg. And we had amazing seasons there. We won the Whippeals. We were playing in states. Ended up playing AAU basketball, where we traveled around the country, and some of the girls that I played with are still some of my best friends to this day, and we ended up placing 5th in the country one year. So we had some amazing memories as a family, just traveling around playing basketball. And also my dreams were coming true when I was starting to be recruited by Division I colleges to play in college. Is my dream coming true? I mean, my dream was to be in the WNBA, but that didn't come true. But playing in college, what I really wanted to do. And I also knew I wanted to teach phys ed. So during the recruitment process, we looked at a lot of schools, and a lot of great schools to play basketball at. But I just remember going back and saying, if they don't have phys ed, I can't go there. That's what I want to do. And I ended up getting a call from Canisius College in Buffalo, New York. I had never heard of Canisius. I didn't even say it right the first time I saw it. And the first question I asked them was, do you have a phys ed program? And finding out that they had a stellar phys ed program, one of the best in the area, and it was close to home. It was only about 3.5 hours away from my family, so they could come up and see games. And they played in the MAC conference. And my good friend was actually going to play for Niagara, so there's some other perks. And I just remember coming up and falling in love with the school and the campus, and so I committed. I committed to play at Canisius, and I just remember how fun it was for our family, and seeing that a girl going from supposed to be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life, now being able to play basketball in college, was amazing. In 2005, it was my freshman year of school, and up until this point, my ankle was pretty good. I did have one surgery in high school. It was a right ankle ligament repair, because the ligaments had really loosened, and so they just went in and kind of tightened it up. And I had a great recovery, and everything was fine. I didn't really have any issues. And my freshman year of college in 2005, not only did we win the MACs, which was the first time in school history, but we went on to play Duke in the first round of the NCAA playoffs at UNC at the Dean Dome, where Michael Jordan played. Pretty amazing. It was such a fun experience. And being from a smaller mid-market town Division I school, competing against a big school like Duke, there were some times when we were playing and we just wanted to be like, hey, can I get your autograph real quick? Is that weird? But it was great. We ended up losing. I know you were surprised, but we ended up losing, and it was fun. It was still such a amazing memory that my teammates and I, we cherish, and we talk about it. And sometimes I feel like that washed up athlete, like Al Bundy back in the day. Like, you remember when we did that? Wasn't that so cool? And probably no one but us cares anymore. But we had a great experience. And after that season, we went on and we were playing in Italy, and I was playing and doing well, and kind of on track to get some more playing time, and was everything was going great. And it wasn't until the start of my sophomore year that we started to notice some changes in my ankle, and it was getting more painful. It was giving me more trouble, a lot of swelling and inflammation. I remember feeling that I couldn't get back to where I was before. And our team physician looked at it and he said, you know what, you do have some debris in there. I think if we go out and clean it out and give you a scope, I think that will help you and be able to recover. So we started there and we went in and we just cleaned it out and had a scope. And then trying to get back after that, I never felt like I could get back to 100%. And it was still just giving me trouble. And it was just this game of rehab all the time. And the athletic trainers at Canisius, oh my goodness, are they amazing. Amy, who was our team physician, I saw her more than anyone during that time, hours and hours and hours in the athletic trainer's office. And if you were an athlete who was injured, you know, you spent some serious time in that office, and those people that are there, countless hours just helping to get you back on your feet. So thank you so much, Canisius College Athletic Training Department. You're amazing. So they were trying to get me back, couldn't do it. So our team physician, Dr. Prentice, who was the ankle physician at the time, I met with him and he said, you know what, that little piece of fibula bone that you still have left, because there was nothing else in my leg. They didn't put a rod or anything else in my leg. And there's just a little piece of that bone that's still floating. It's kind of floating into your ankle joint. And, you know, he was thinking that a lot of my pain was coming from that bone that kept floating into my ankle joint, and that's probably causing me the pain. So he suggested a syndesmotic fusion where he wanted to fuse that piece of the fibula bone to my tibia bone, your shin bone. And it was a pretty intense surgery, and I had to be non-weight bearing for like 6 months. It was something crazy. It was forever. I had to wear this bone stimulating device for 23 hours a day, and I ended up redshirting my junior year, thinking that I'll take the red shirt and then I can come back and then I would be able to have 2 years of eligibility left still to play. Well, after that whole year and that very long surgery, they ended up having to go in and take out the plate and the screws, the hardware, take it out, and the surgery itself was successful in what we were trying to do, but unfortunately, it did not relieve the pain the way that I was hoping and what we were all hoping that it would do. And after that surgery and everything that I went through, it was then decided that I would then have to hang up the sneakers, that unfortunately it was time for me to stop playing basketball. That was really hard to hear. Up until this point, I'm sure you can imagine, and for those of you who know me can certainly attest to this, that basketball it had become my identity. It was who I was. Oh, that's Nia, she plays basketball. And it felt like that's where my worth and my value and who I was, everything came from being good at basketball. And that was now being taken away. And I wasn't having the career that I had envisioned for myself. I sort of quickly forgot, hey, you should be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. Because here I was and I was doing so well. And instead of just being thankful for that time that I did have to play, I was really upset and I was so frustrated, and I was really hitting rock bottom for not having the career and kind of feeling like ashamed of the career that I was having in this injury, and it was out of my control. And I'm a bit of a recovering perfectionist, so this was really hard. It was something that I couldn't control, I couldn't change, and I was feeling trapped. And I thought, what now? What am I gonna do? And this is who I am, and now what do I have to offer? And so that was a really hard time, and not only mentally and emotionally and physically being in pain still every single day. So I'm dealing with all the emotion of that, but also still dealing with the pain just from walking every day. And thankfully, again, there was a time where I didn't know what to do. I was at the very end. I remember just wanting, Lord, what is the plan? Do you have a plan for my life? Because I certainly don't see one now. I don't see what I have to offer. I feel kind of trapped. I'm depressed. I was feeling so low, and I thought, Lord, if you have a plan for my life, help me, show me, because I can't see one now. And I remember turning to Matthew 10:39, and it said, if you cling to your life, you will lose it. But if you give it up for me, you will find it. And I just remember in that moment reading that and crying and just, it had clicked. Here I am trying to do everything that I can and trying to control it and be perfect. And if I can just get here, then that'll mean I'm worth something and I can do it. If I can just, start, if I can just be the best at school and get the best grades, if I can just do this, if I can just do this. And it wasn't something that I could earn. It was that the Lord, it was already giving me a gift out of grace that didn't depend on what I could do, or the accolades or the grades or any of that stuff. He's saying, I love you the way that you are, and that you have so much left to give, and you have purpose, whether you play basketball or not. And you can use this experience to help others that could be going through it. And trying to find that joy and finding beauty in all things, even when they don't go your way in the way that you planned. And man, looking back, seeing the plan B for my life and all of the blessings and things that have come out of it that are more than I could even imagine, so much more than what I wanted for my plan A. So I am so thankful for that. And my basketball career, it ended, but in that time I ended up meeting my husband. So at the lowest point in my life, it was another blessing that came out of it, was meeting Jeremy my senior year and him helping me to have the strength and courage to get through that time, my final senior year of not being able to play and not feeling like part of the team, that I had anything left to give. And he helped me to get through it. A couple days after I graduated from Canisius, I ended up getting hired at Lockport City School District to teach elementary phys ed. So totally just blew my mind that there were hardly any teaching jobs in the area, and they hired this girl from Pittsburgh that wasn't even from Buffalo, and they took a shot on me, and it was amazing. Again, thinking, I met my husband, we ended up getting engaged that summer, I got a teaching job, so I was getting married, I got a job, I'm now living in Buffalo. That really wasn't the plan. I was supposed to go to Italy for a year and teach English, but that's another story. So everything was great. So even though I have this ankle issue and I'm managing the pain, it was good. I was able to manage it enough, and it hadn't gotten to the point of where I couldn't walk yet. And the plan of action that we had going forward was that every 2 to 3 years I would go in and have it cleaned out, because I was starting to get the arthritis and the cartilage was starting to deteriorate. So that was sort of our plan of action. So I was able to teach, and I absolutely loved my job, and the person I taught with was like one of my best friends, and I loved everything, every part of it, and teaching with the students. Another quick cool side story, the first day when I went into one of the schools that I taught in, there happened to be 2 kids in the school that were in 2nd grade, both of them, and both of them had tumors in their legs that had to be removed, and the doctors told them that they wouldn't be able to walk again or ever play sports. And can you believe this? In the school that I taught in Lockport, New York, there were 2, not just one, but 2 children in the same grade that I was. They had it in the same leg. Both of them, it was in their right leg, and mine was in my right leg. And they were hearing from their doctors, you'll never be able to do this, you won't be able to do this. And I just started crying as soon as I heard their story, and I said, let me tell you, look, I am here to tell you that the doctors told me the same thing when I was your age, and let me tell you what I was able to do. I was able to play basketball and earn a full scholarship and teach phys ed. I am teaching phys ed here today with you. And if for anything else, my purpose was to be there on that first day and have an opportunity to talk with those kids about the possibilities that and the dreams that can come true for them, and that certainly does not have to be the end of their story either. So cool. I love sharing that also. So I taught, and we went in every 2 or 3 years to clean out my ankle. And over the past 10 years, I have had 5 ankle surgeries in the past 10 years. And I just slowly started to see it get worse and worse and worse. And it got to the point where my principal at school was so amazing that she got me a stool that was on wheels, and I would have to sit like every 20 minutes and take a break and sit down in the gym, which killed me. I felt like, man, some people are gonna come by and be like, look, that's the laziest phys ed teacher I've ever seen in my life who has to sit down in a stool. Okay, that's the last thing I wanted to do. I'm an active person. So many times I have just felt trapped in my body because of this. But everyone was great working with me and helping me to be able to compensate and get through. And I started to wear wedge sneakers, which I'm like, these things look so silly. But being up on my toe actually helped to alleviate my pain, because my arthritis was mainly in the front of my ankle. So if I was up on my toe, then I didn't have that constant pressure of trying to go heel toe when you walk normally. So I would wear wedge sneakers, and I would just have to really monitor how much I was on my feet. And if I worked a full day, I couldn't then go and do an errand afterwards. I tried coaching basketball for 1 year. I loved coaching. I loved working with the girls, but it just proved to be too much on my ankle. I couldn't even sleep at night. I was in so much pain just for that 1 season of coaching. Well, in 2014, my husband and I, our family, we had a little change, and I became pregnant with our daughter, with our first child. Her name is Lena Pearl. She's now 3. And I worked during that time, and I had the great honor and pleasure of staying home with her on maternity leave for a little while. And then I ended up getting pregnant again with our son, Nigel, who is now 14 months. And it was during the time that I went back to work pregnant with Nigel. I really saw such a change with my ankle that it was just slowly confirming that I couldn't be the teacher that I wanted to be. It was really hard for me to walk. And I couldn't then come home and be the mom that I wanted to be. So after working a full day in the gym, I would come home, and my daughter, who was 2 at the time, I hadn't seen her all day, and all I could do was sit down on the couch and ice my ankle. I couldn't even get off the couch to play with my daughter, and that killed me. And I remember just being so depressed and sad all the time of, I don't want to be the mom who's like putting on a show because I can't play with my child. We live across the street from a park, and I couldn't even walk with her across the street. And that killed me because it's not what I wanted to do, but I felt trapped and I physically wasn't unable to do it. So during this time, I remember it was getting close to the time where I had to make a decision, and I remember crying to my husband because I've wanted to be a teacher my whole life. I am a teacher. That is who I am. And it was such a bittersweet decision to say that I have to stop teaching. And it was mainly because of my ankle and the pain that I was in, and that, I didn't feel that it was fair for the kids at school that I was supposed to be teaching, that I couldn't give them what I wanted to give them and the 100% effort that they deserved. And then I knew it wasn't fair for our own kids that I couldn't give them my best effort because I had no gas left in the tank at the end of the day. So I had to make a really hard decision, and after 9 amazing years of teaching, I had to resign from that position. And it's still really hard for me to think about, knowing that it was the right decision, but how much I loved it and how much I miss those kids and those teachers, the amazing staff and administration that I had there. And I know, I don't think I'm ever going to get this back. But again, I just had to trust that we had to make a decision that was best for my health and our family at the time. And we got to a point where this summer, it was so bad that without a wedge sneaker, I was just dragging my foot. and I could hardly walk. If we went anywhere, I had to use a motorized scooter, which, there goes my pride, okay? It's not exactly the coolest thing in the world, and when you're 32, yes, that's how old I am, when you're 32 and you have to go to a store and ask for the motorized wheelchairs and scooters, sometimes they think that you're joking, and okay, this is not a joke. And I get a lot of stares and look and people trying to figure out what's wrong with you. And we got to a point this summer where we explored all the options. I couldn't stay where I was. It wasn't working. So for me, we were looking at a full ankle fusion, which it might eliminate the pain, but I will have no mobility. And then when you fuse it, it's permanent, and then you're gonna have other issues and arthritis in your midfoot and all the other stuff. I wasn't ready to do it. And then we looked at ankle replacement, but the technology is not there yet, and I am not a good candidate based on my age. I am too young for it, and it doesn't last very long, and they can't just like replace it. So I wasn't a good candidate for that. The other option that we explored, and this might seem very drastic, but I was looking into voluntary amputation. And you're thinking, wow, this girl's ready to cut her leg off. Well, pretty much. I was sick of thinking about my ankle. I was sick of every morning waking up and all of the things that we wanted to do. Not just that I wanted to do, but what I wanted to do with my husband and with our kids, and all of these things that if it wasn't for my ankle, we could do them. And I'm looking at these people that have prosthetics, and they're out going for walks. They're running marathons. I'm not even trying to run a marathon. I'm trying to just go for a walk around the block with my kids or go to the grocery store. Those are my goals. And so I thought, well, if I don't have this part of my body, I don't have to think about any more surgeries. I don't have to think about shooting pain and not being able to sleep at night. So I really explored it pretty hard. And thankfully, we landed with my doctor that, you know what, let's go in and just clean it out one more time. And I'm glad that we did that. Still have a limb. But we cleaned it out, and he was able to get this like big piece of bone had broken off, and it was wedged in my ankle joint. So that day I felt like a huge rock was taken out of my shoe, and I did have relief after the surgery. But even though I did PT, and my recovery is still at a point where I have pain every single day. It's very hard for me to walk. So I just thought we were kicking the can down the road a little bit longer, and for the inevitable, for maybe still amputating, I wasn't sure. Well, in January, completely by accident, I was on one of these Facebook groups that I'm on for, yes, I'm on like an ankle group, very cool group on Facebook. And this woman posted that she had had an ankle replacement but still wasn't able to walk and wasn't getting the pain relief, that she found this amazing life-changing device called the Exosym IDEO out of the Gig Harbor Hanger Clinic in Gig Harbor, Washington. And she posted a video of herself walking, and it looked completely normal, and she's walking in her driveway and she's celebrating and cheering, and I'm like, what is this thing? I've never even heard of it. So I Google it, and those of you who know me, I research things to death. And so I Googled it, and I find the YouTube video of the Exosym. I start watching it, and I just start bawling my eyes out. And I hear this girl, and her story resonates. Her name is Beth, resonated with me so much that she could hardly walk 100 yards. And now with this brace, not only can she walk without pain, but she just ran a marathon. And I thought, this is me. I can't walk. And maybe this brace is the solution that we've been looking for, the answer to prayer. And so right away, I look up Hanger Clinic. What do I got to do? And I found a branch in Buffalo. And it's a national company, but they have different locations around. So I called right away in Buffalo, New York, the Hanger Clinic, And I talked to the gentleman there, and he said, we can bring you in for consultation, but just so you know, if you go forward with this and you're a candidate, then the only place that they make them is in Gig Harbor, Washington. And Ryan Blanc is there. He is the mastermind behind this creation. Ryan, you're amazing. And you'd have to go there and meet him, and he makes it there and fits you and does the whole thing. So of course I said, when can you get me in? Like today, right now? How about now? And so I went in, and they did 100 questions on the intake form, and they videoed me walking and took pictures of my leg and sent them over. And that was like the longest 5 days waiting to hear back and if I was a candidate or not. And I remember taking my daughter to preschool and sitting in the car and seeing the email come through and opening it up, and it says, Ryan has reviewed your video and your information and has decided that you are a candidate for the Exosym. And I was just crying and thinking, Lord, this might be it. This might be the answer to prayer, the thing that gives me my freedom back, to be able to do all the things. And I'm instantly thinking, well, maybe I can go for a hike. Maybe I can run this 5K that happens in the village of Williamsville. Maybe I can be on Supermarket Sweep. Is that game show still on? I don't know, but I'm gonna be on it. I'm gonna bring it back. All the things that went through my mind in that 10 seconds that I was thinking about it. So I went home, I told my husband, he's like, let's do it. You gotta get out there. So the first thing I had to do was fly to Gig Harbor for the first initial casting of my leg, and they have you wear a plastic prototype. And then from that, you can decide if you want to proceed with the carbon fiber brace. So I went out there, and my husband decided to stay with the kids because he's so amazing. Thank you, sweetie. And my mom's a flight attendant, so my dad actually flies standby, and I was gonna fly out there. The cherry on top is that my aunt, my dad's sister, lived 25 minutes from the clinic in Puyallup, I know how to say it now, Puyallup, Washington. And I called her, and my cousins, her daughters, they live right around there too, and I hadn't seen them in forever. So how cool is that? Where I had to go is my family was there. And I said, hey, Dad, do you want to have a daddy-daughter date with me and fly out to Washington and we could go to this cool clinic together? Okay, yes, he did. He flew out with me. We had such an amazing time, and I thought, I was trying not to get my hopes up, and I thought, if anything else, we're just going to have a great time seeing family. So that's worst case scenarios. We're going to have a great time with family. Well, we went out there, and I do have some videos, and I documented my time at the clinic for the first time and meeting Ryan and casting my leg and talking about this device. And I didn't know what to expect, and definitely realized that there is a learning curve with this. Now, the plastic prototype that I tried is only about 40% of what the real device will do. And I wore it even just for 5 minutes. Yes, it was weird for me because it was forcing me to walk normally, and I have compensated now for about a little over 12 years of not walking normally. So my body is not used to walking normally, and I walk kind of like an octopus on skates. So Ryan kept saying, think mall walker, engage your core, squeeze your glutes, engage your core, squeeze your glutes, less like a giraffe. And so just trying to walk heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. My hips felt off and it felt weird. He said, no, your hips are actually level, and without the device, your hips are really off. And you compensate, and all of these other issues I'm having. So right now I'm having shooting hip pain and my back and my neck and all this other stuff that's hurting because of the way I have to compensate for my ankle. He also told me that I've lost about like 70% of other muscle function in my body because of compensating for my ankle. And it's amazing how one part of your body can affect so many other things. So it just made me appreciate the tool that this has taken and the opportunity that this device can bring. And so I know that it's going to take time. It's going to be baby steps, and I'm going to have to learn how to walk all over again. So my son, who's 14 months, it's like him and I are going to be at the same stage. And so we'll kind of be learning how to run at the same time. That'll be really cool to do. So from that trip, we decided that this was something that I could not only benefit from, but could completely change my life and give me the freedom that I have been so desperately hoping for and wanting. And everything is lined up and we are set to go out on April 3rd, and I have to go back this time for a week. So you get the device, which is made out of carbon fiber. And the device is kind of like a cross between a prosthetic for an amputee and a kinetic orthotic. And so I kind of say it's like a prosthetic for a person with a limb. And what it does is it diverts that energy that normally would go into your heel when you walk. It holds it. There's a thing in the back of the calf that gets that energy and then diverts it back to the rest of your body. And so you're not getting that pain. And I do need a knee stabilizing attachment for when I exercise and do any sort of physical movement, because I don't have that fibula bone that helps to support your ankle. So that knee stabilizing device, that will help to protect my knee and keep it strong. So headed out April 3rd, I'll have to be there for a week, 5 days of intensive PT, while they will help me and train me to use the device and all that I need to know about the device. When I come back home, I will also need to follow up with PT here in Buffalo, New York, where I live, of just continuing to work and until it gets to a point where I don't have to think about it and it has just become second nature. And I want to work up to be able to run again, which I never thought was ever going to be a possibility. I couldn't even walk, so definitely didn't think I could run. Quick little funny story, when I was at the clinic just a couple weeks ago, I'm out there and there was a gentleman who was in special ops and has been wearing the device for 3 years. He's already been deployed 5 times with the Exosym. Okay. Then there was another gentleman who's an Olympic cyclist who is Scottish, who competes for the UK, who is wearing the device and is like, yeah, I'm training to go back in the Olympics. And then they look at me and they're like, oh, so what are your goals for the Exosym? I was like, well, there's this really big store. It's called Wegmans. It's a really amazing grocery store. And my goal is to just walk around that store with my babies. Yeah, and be able to do that. And you know what? Maybe even walk across the street to the park. So those are my goals. And I kind of felt a little bit silly, but the thing that we need to remember is that everyone has a hurdle, has an obstacle. Everyone has a goal that they are trying to obtain. So yes, mine might be trying to do laundry, which you might be thinking, why does she want to do that? I never even wanted to do laundry. Until you can't do laundry or you can't go grocery shopping, now all of a sudden you're like, I only want to do is just go grocery shopping. It's so true. But those are my goals, is just to help to be the mom that I wanted to be, to maybe have the possibility to go back to teaching, to just be the active person that I am, to be able to do those things. So their goal might be to be an Olympic cyclist, and his is to serve and protect our country, which is absolutely amazing, and the sacrifice that he gives. So everybody is on a different path, on a different journey, and so we just need to remember and celebrate those things, those differences, and that we all have unique gifts and talents that we have to share with others. So that's where I am now. I'm in the process of just gearing up to go out there, and I wanted to come on. I wanted to share this with you to help spread awareness for the Exosym IDEO device, because I hadn't heard of it, and it was developed in the military. It had a military patent for about 5 years, and it helped to get our men and women who are serving our country back out to help better serve our country, and they were able to salvage their limbs and get them this device to be able to not just function but go back and serve our country. How amazing is that? And then when that military patent ended, they opened it up to civilians. So about 3-ish, I think, years ago, it was opened up to civilians. So here I am. It's been out there for like over 3 years for civilians, and I am just now hearing about it. And I don't even think my doctor hadn't heard about it. So many people have not heard about this. So that's what I am really hoping from this video and from spreading awareness, is that people who might be in a similar situation as I am can explore this option. Maybe it'll help them too. I will say that the caveat with this is that unfortunately it is not covered by insurance right now. So you do have to pay out of pocket. And the ankle leg device is, it does cost, it's $9,000. The knee stabilizing attachment piece is $1,800. It's hard to put a price on something that gives you your freedom and helps you to be able to walk. So we're sort of, when we heard this, said, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do to make this happen? And we've explored, there's different financial plans out there, such as the care credit, that you can explore and use care credit to do like 18 or 20 month 0% interest payments on. There's also some payment plans through the clinic. Maybe you're someone that is able to do like a GoFundMe, or maybe get some help from your church or people around you, exploring different options. I will say that, you know, this is something that if it's going to help you, really pray about, hey, what can I do to make this happen? And just trust that, you know, the Lord will come through and you'll be able to experience that freedom. And what I'm trying to say is just don't let that hold you back. And yes, it's not the cheapest thing in the whole world, but it's something that is helping you to walk. And for me, the alternative is not good. So we're going down this road, and it does cost, you know, to fly out there, and we actually found an amazing Airbnb for my husband's coming with me and the kids, so that they can be there during this time with me. And so we're excited for this opportunity. I'm excited to take you all on this journey with me, because many of you have known me my whole life and have been with me for the past 25 years of dealing with this stuff, with my ankle and with my leg, and you have encouraged me and supported me. And I have so many people that I could thank. And my parents, where would I be without you two, Mom and Dad, for your love and your generosity and your sacrifice, and for staying with me all through the night, all those nights that I was in pain, and never leaving me in the hospital, and always being my advocate, and driving me everywhere for basketball, and helping me to get that full scholarship, and coming up for every basketball game in Buffalo, New York, driving through the blizzards to get there. And my sister, my amazing sister, who always makes me feel so loved and supported and encouraged. I couldn't do this without you, Jada. And my amazing husband, who I don't even know where to begin. He does everything. He is so sympathetic, and he gets ice packs for me. He carries me up and down stairs, folks. He carries me. I am not a petite girl, okay? We're like the same size. And he carries me. And he always is just making sure to, is your ankle okay? You need to sit down. I have to get a wheelchair through the airports and through anywhere we are. He's always getting me a wheelchair. He's helping me with the kids. And he is always supporting me in whatever I want to do. I love acting and modeling, and he has helped me with that. And that's one thing that I'm hoping to be able to get back and to do more of that whenever I'm just more physically able to stand for long periods of time and do those shoots. And he's always my #1 fan and the first person to say, go do it, you can do it. I love you, Jeremy, and my children, Lena, Pearl, and Nigel. You are the motivation for what gets me up in the morning and to keep forging on when the pain seems unbearable. As I look at your faces, and I know that I can get through it, and that no matter what pain I'm in, that it's worth it. And at the end of the day, if I have you and I'm able to hold you, then it's been a good day for me. And I know that once I get this device, I've already talked to my babies about it, that we're gonna be going to the park and on walks, and I'm gonna be chasing them and tickling them and playing tag with them. And I don't want to be scared and frightened that I can't catch them if they, I had a story of when Lena was 2 and she saw a puppy and she started running out into the street to see this puppy, and I physically couldn't run and catch her, and I had to yell out, and thankfully someone was able to help me and grab her. But that's the worst feeling as a parent, seeing something and your child is in harm, and then I wasn't able to help her, and I want all of that to change. And who else to thank? The people that I worked with in Lockport, the amazing people, the teachers, the principals, the administrators, the staff, the students, everyone in Lockport City School District. You are amazing. Thank you. And I look forward to maybe one day we'll be able to work together again. And those were amazing 9 years of my life. And thank you to everyone at my church friends and family who have brought meals and who have prayed and who have encouraged our family and helped. And hey, how can I help you? Do you need me to take the kids? Just amazing friends that have become family to us. And I want to thank Mrs. Marcacci and Mrs. Kosanovich from Bond Mead Elementary School. Thank you for lighting that fire in my heart for teaching and for helping others. And I want to thank Dr. Prentice here in Buffalo, New York, and his team for all of the surgeries and for the special care and attention that you've always given to me for the past 12 years, and for being patient. And I feel like I must be a frustrating case because I'm not really getting better, but I know that's all about to change. And who else do I have to thank? I'm sure many more people, my friends, my family. I love you all so much, and this is not the end of my story. This is just the beginning. And last and the most importantly, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that without his love and that personal relationship that has sustained me through all these years, and for the Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, that I said when I was 8, that I had written on my cast. It has been my anchor, and it has been my source of inspiration and hope for the past 25 years of this journey. And I can truly see the miracles and the blessings that have come through the obstacles and the valleys in my life, but that I can come through, and they are now pearls that I can use to share with others, and to hopefully, if I can help to encourage just one person who feels that they are going through something impossible, an obstacle that they can't seem to overcome, that with God all things are possible, that you are not alone. There are people that love you, that care about you, that you were made unique and special, and there is a plan for your life that is unlike for anyone else. And I can't wait to see what will come from this, not just for our family, but maybe someone else will hear it and it will be able to change their life as well. So I encourage you, I know this was really long, and if you're still listening, maybe you've hopefully had a cup of coffee or something, but if you're still listening, wow, I'm really impressed. It's probably just my mom and dad and husband at this point that are still listening. But I'm gonna be updating on my YouTube page, so make sure you like it, my YouTube page, channel, subscribe to it so that I will update some more videos on my journey and before and after and everything leading up, and you'll get those updates and you can come along with me. Thank you. And also there's some other funny stuff that I do on my YouTube page with my kids, like the Princess and the Puppet show. And it's really just for my entertainment, and I find it funny. And so feel free to watch those. And we have a lot of fun here at the Cozy Cottage. And yeah, I look forward to chatting with you soon. I love you all, and God bless.